Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Tambawala. Today we'll be looking into a small project of creating a report for a company called Evergreen Industries. The company operates in 4 regions: Midwest, Northeast, South, and West. And our work over here is to combine the payroll reports from each of the regions into one report. And from that, we want to extract top 10 and bottom 10 paid staff by salary, which means 20 staff per region, which will be 20 times 480. So 80 rows for the entire report. Once we have done, we have to send that report to the HR manager on a weekly basis. So that's basically our project is. Now, all of this data in this entire file is fictional. It's made up. It's not real, right? Now, what we have to do is basically whatever data we have, we are only interested in these 11 columns. All the non-orange ones, we can get them from the raw data, and the orange ones, we have to create 3 additional new columns. Now we did this little project, I think 5 years ago using Power Query, but now we can do this entire thing using our awesome, brilliant Excel dynamic array formulas. All of these 10 formulas we'll be using today. Majority of them are relatively new, like 3 years or 4 years or maybe 2 years, except for I think this round down and this what today formula. They're old ones, but everything else I'm pretty sure they're all new formulas. Sorry, if error is also old one, right? Everything else are relatively new formulas. Cool. So what happened was I had a conversation with HR manager. The HR manager gave me the report created by the employee, and they said this is the correct report. They have already validated, and they want us to create exactly the same report using Excel formulas. Right now, the process is quite manual. The current staff actually goes through each of these data, payroll data. He deletes the columns and rows individually, and then creates new columns, and then put formulas for the duration, staff age, and we sometimes make mistakes as well. So we don't want to end up doing that. We want to make this very, very efficient. Maybe spend like maximum 3 minutes or 2 minutes for this entire process, right? We don't want to spend anything more than that. So the idea is to have that formula inserted over here. And once we've inserted, what we want to do is we want to check this entire thing with our new formula, which will give us the result from column M to column W. And the check would be all these checks in column Y to column AI, they should all come to true, which means if you look at the formula, it says A3 is M3. So once we have the formula, all the checks should go to true. That's what I'm looking for. Cool. So this is my idea, right? What I'll be doing is we'll be cleaning one of the tables, and once we have cleaned one table using our formula, we'll apply the same formula on the other tables and we'll get the answer. So let's just do this over here on the right hand side. So what I'll go on the right hand side. Let's just go on the right hand side. Okay, by the way, all of these data over here, they come from exactly the same payroll, like the same payroll report. So the data would be exactly the same, no difference at all in column names or column sequence, anything. It's exactly the same, which is a good thing for us. Cool. So what I'll do is I'll pick up this let's pick up this Midwest Midwest table. Overall, there are like 285 rows. I'll copy the headers. I'll go to the report and paste the headers over here, and then what I'll do is I'll just give numbers, right? 1, 2, and let me give numbers. I'll give numbers. These numbers will be helpful for us when we do the build up the formula. So overall, there are 36 columns, and then what we want class, age, and duration in months. So class, age, duration in months. So these are the 3 extra columns we are after. They're not in the data set. We want to create these 3 new columns later on. What I'll do is I'll put this in a different color over here. Cool. Okay, so just going and having a look at the data. So what they're doing is they're actually having the data by top 10 and bottom 10 for each of the regions, and we want to do the same, right? So if I look at Midwest region, I've got 20 rows. I want 20 rows for top 10 and bottom 10. Okay, cool. So So let's go on the right. So the first thing what I'll do is I will actually go and then I'll bring the entire table. So what I'll do is if I go and then type in, I'll see the table. This is the sign of the table. I'll double click and get the entire table. So that's my 285 rows. Now from this table, let me highlight the salary column, which is the most important right now. So that's the most important column. Throughout the journey, this is the most important column. After that, what we are interested in date of birth column to getting the age of the employee, which will be column BV. And then what we want date of joining column to get the duration in months. So I'll put this in a different color. So we know that these three columns are very important for us. Good. So what I can do is once we get this data, okay, let me just make it a bit smaller. Okay, hopefully this is all right for you guys. Cool. So let me put this in to a sort formula. So what I'll do is I'll sort this data, and it's telling me, okay, what's the sort index? So I know the index is 25 because we did something smart by putting all these numbers. So I'll say 25 is my sort index, and says what kind of sorting you want. We want descending. Descending means highest to the lowest. I close the bracket and then press enter, and it shows me all of this from highest to the lowest, right? Now from this data set, we want 10 highest and 10 lowest. That's what we are after. Okay. Now the way we can do this is, what I'll do is I'll put this into a let function. By the way, if I go back and look at these formulas, see right now we won't be going into diving deep into these formulas. These formulas, if you want, you can go online and have a read about these formulas, what they do. What I would suggest is if you don't know these formulas, just stay with me, stay till the end. Hopefully you will learn something out of it. And I won't confuse you much. So hopefully you learn something out of it, right? From all these formulas. And if you are new in Excel, if you have not done Excel, I will still suggest you to stay with me. As I said, you will get something out of it if you stay with me. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go back to the Midwest, to the port one. And okay, so this is my formula, which is sorting the Midwest table by column 25, which is the salary column, into descending order, which is -1. -1 means basically descending. So if I take out the minus, it will set from lowest to highest. Then if I put in minus again, it will sort from the highest salary to the lowest salary. Cool. So what I'll do is I'll put this formula into a let function. We'll say it let. And what I'll do is with let, I will assign the name. I'll call it data frame, or sorry, let's just call it D. D means data. So I'll call the formula, this entire formula as D data. And once I put this into a let function, let me recall the formula. So what I'll do is I'll go to the next row. I'll say D. So yeah, it exactly shows me the same thing. Cool. So what we want from this is the top 10 staff. So I'll call a variable. I'll create a new variable called top, and I'll say give me the take formula. From take formula, what the take does is it says what's your array. My array is D, which is this entire formula over here, and then it says how many rows you're after. I'll say I'm after 10 rows. Okay, and let me recall top. It says okay, that's your top 10 formula, top 10 employees. Okay, let me try to make it slightly bigger for you guys. So let me make it 115. Cool. Okay, now that's my top 10. Now what I want is from this top 10, I want to put this I want to put the class, which is I want to put a column over here and call it like top 10 over here. But I want to obviously put that into the formula. I don't want to put a separate column for that, right? I don't want to do it manually. So how do I do such a thing? Now what I can do is if I go back to the formula, what I can do is I can put a formula called h-stack. So what h-stack does is it horizontally stacks whatever you want. So I'll say okay, h-stack formula, it says what's my array 1. My array 1 is this entire formula, take formula, which is my current formula with the top 10 rows. And then it says okay, what's your array 2? My array 2, I'll say that it's top 10. I just want to create a new column which is my second array, and I want to call it top 10. Okay, and now if I go and then look at what it says top 10 in the first row, but everything else is NA, which is not good. So what I'll do is I'll go back over here and I'll put this into if error. You can put into if error or if now. I'll just do if now for the time being. Yeah, it's same thing, and I'll call it if there's an error, call it top 10, and then if I go and then have a look, voila, it's done. Yeah, top 10, nice. Now what I'll do is I'll create the bottom 10 as well. Uh, and then once I've got that, I'll combine both top 10 and bottom 10 into one, and then we can do this age and duration in months later. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just copy this entire thing, top, I'll paste it, sorry, I'll just paste this over here. I'll call this as bot called bottom. Bot means bottom. Now over here we want the bottom 10, so bottom 10 would be minus 10, which will give me the last 10 rows from this data, this data frame, and I'll call that as bot bottom 10, and I'll call it as bottom 10. And then if I want to see what it looks like, so I'll just I'll recall it and say bottom 10, and that's my bottom 10, which is my bottom 10. So the 10th lowest salary to all the way towards the lowest salary, and that's called your bottom 10. Sorry, bottom 10 is actually called bottom 10, not bot 10. So bottom 10 and bottom 10. Now the only one issue over here is we want to reverse this, all of these rows, so that 40,000, the lowest one, comes first, and then so on. Because if I look back into the result, you can see the 40,000 comes on the top, the lowest comes at the top, and then the second lowest, and so on, right? So we want to reverse this. So how can we reverse such a thing? So if I go back to the formula, what I'll do is, let me just go on the right hand side so you can see the column. So what I'll do is I'll put this into the sort formula, which is this first one, sort formula, and I can say that okay, I want to sort this entire thing by column number, which is column 25, and then the sort order would be ascending. Okay, now if I look at this, wow, it's good, right? It's already reversed. 40,000 the lowest, second and third, and so on, and that's what we were after, and it's called bottom 10. Good. Now the next thing what we will do is we'll combine the top 10 and bottom 10 into one, and then we will add in the two new columns, age and duration. We'll fill those ones with the values. So what I'll do is I'll go to the next, and I'll take this out, and I'll call this new one called top bot. So top bot is basically top and bot together, and how we can do this together is we can put this into VStack. So the head stack was horizontal stacking, which means creating new columns on the right hand side, and VStack is like stacking on top of like each other, right? So I'll say okay, VStack, I'll put the VStack formula, and it says what do you want to VStack? I want to VStack top, and then I want to VStack bottom. VStack top and bottom, and if I want to recal top and bottom together, I'll just say top and bottom, and that's my top and bottom. So overall I've got what, 20 rows, and then that's your top 10 and bottom 10. Good. Okay, so what we want now is we want to create the age column and populate the age column and the duration in months. So let's do this over here. So what I'll do is this top bot, I'll call this, I'll create a new variable called top bot updated, top bot u. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll use the hashtag formula as we use the hashtag over here to create the new column towards the right. So what I'll do, my first array would be top bot. So that's my top bot, which is my first array, and then on the right hand side I want to create a new column. Now the new column I want to create is my age column. So we can calculate age using the date of birth. So what I'll do is to get the date of birth column on the right hand side, I'll just to go to choose columns, and it says okay, what's the array? My array is top bot. From top bot, what I want to choose column number 11, which is 11. And then if I go and then recall this column just to see how it looks like, just go on the right hand side. Okay, it brings me exactly the same age column, right? It just brings me that age, sorry, the date of birth column. It's just showing numbers because it's not formatted in dates. But if I just put the date formatting, it's here basically date of birth. Okay, now what we want is from the date of birth column we want to calculate the age of the person. So how we can do the age? For example, today, that's my today formula. So that's today, and then from today if I subtract the date of birth for this person, it gives me the person has lived what, 21,000. And then if I divide that by what, 365.25, 0.25 would be the leap years. Sorry, I'm just very just want to be very accurate. So that's going to be 57.73, and what we'll do is we'll put this into a round down formula, because nobody says, yo, I'm 57.73 years old. They're going to say either 57, 58. Normally people bring it down, so I'll bring it down. I'll say 57.73 and bring it down to 0. So that's your 57. So what we want is we want on the right hand side over here as 57. Okay, that's what the idea is. So let me get rid of all of this. So what I'll do is I'll go over here, and then I will say, okay, today. So give me the today's date. From the today's date, let's subtract the date of birth, which is the 11th column. And once I've done that, let me put this into once I've done that, what I want to do is I want to divide that by 365.25. okay, and then if I go here, that's your 57.73, right? That's your basically age. Now what we want to do is we want to round this down. So what I'll do is I'll just round down, and then that's my round down, and then round down would be number of digits would be 0. Cool. So if I go, and that's my 57, right? So that's 57, 34, 60. If I go on the left hand side and check it, that's my age, 57, 34, and 60. Good. So that's fine. We're doing good so far. Now the third one is we want duration in months, not in years. Okay, so how many months? So what I can do is I can basically copy this entire formula, copy this entire thing, copy this, and then put a comma, and it says what's my array 3, what's my third array, what I want, right, which is the last column. So I'll put this entire thing again, and this time what I'll do is I don't want the 11th column, I want the 14th column. Now from the 14th column, it is date of joining. What I want is I want to times it by 365.25, and then divide by 365. Okay, let's just divide this word and see what we get, right? So once we do that, we get the years person has spent, right? But what we want is before we round it out, round off, I want to times it by 12 to get the months. So years times 12 will give me the number of months. So that's my months, 192, 157, and so on. Cool. So I got all these duration in months over here on the right hand side, right? So I think we are doing good over here. 192, so that's 3637. Go and then check this over here. 3637. Good. I was just trying to check the total if they match or not. Good. I think we're doing pretty good over here. Cool. So let me just go back over here. Yeah, go all the right. Good. So we got all the what columns we needed, right? So I'll say this is 37, 38, and 39. Nice. Now once we have done this, what we want is we want only those columns we are interested in. We don't want all these 39 columns. We only want the columns we are interested in. So the columns we are interested in are basically these columns, right? So what I do is, let me just copy this column and put this over here. So these are my, let's just put this in as values, and this class is just class, not top 10 and bottom 10. That's my column, right? So I'm just interested in all these columns. So what I can do is basically I can put this into a choose column formula, which we have used earlier. So let's just do choose columns. And when I do choose column, it says, okay, from your array, which columns you're interested in, basically. If I say 1 and just close it, it will give me the first column. If I go and then say 1 and second, it will show me those two columns. So whatever columns I number, it's going to show me those columns. So let me just undo the entire thing, right? So what we want is we want all of these columns. Cool. So we want region, duration, all of these columns. Okay. Now, one way of doing this is basically go to each of the columns and probably I know that region is column number. Where is region? Region is column 34. So I can go with 34, then I can put a comma, then I can go, okay, give me employee ID 1. I can do that way, or the other way I can do is, let me just put a index match formula. So I'll just say equals index, and then I'll say, okay, give me, sorry, my bad, I don't know what I did. Okay, good, index, and then that's my index, and then I go say match. I want to match this one, all this entire with the entire headers. Good, and then I want the exact match. Good, so that's my, so okay, why is it not liking it? Oh, sorry, I didn't. Okay, good, cool. So basically these are my column numbers, right? So that's 34 is region, one is employee ID, 2 is, yeah, that's exactly I want, right? So what I can do is I can go into the formula, choose column. It's just trying to do a bit of cheating rather than typing up the column numbers. So what I'll do is I'll put this top bottom into a choose column formula, and then I'll say, okay, it's saying give me the column number. So what I can do is I can actually reference this entire range. Okay, and then once I close that, right, it shows me this entire range. Okay, now, so what it does is brings the region, yeah, that's my column number 34, and then column number 1, and so on, right? So I don't want this to be linked to anything. What I can do now is I can select this entire thing and press F9 on the keyboard. So you see, when I hover on it, it shows me this list. So I can press F9